Now there's a room full of girls. And I was like, ladies, I'm here. I asked Kara to move over so I could sit next to Lysandra, and she did. I had a little swagger to me because I heard yes. And when I heard yes, I stopped focusing on the goal and I started focusing on my behavior, and I got myself in a position to achieve my goal. Well, she said no at the time, but later she said yes. But I learned years later when I looked back and I thought about that, I thought that's really the model for what happens in life. It's a metaphor. If you think about what we all go through with, say, weight loss. We're all on a diet at one point or another. I'm on one now, involuntarily. My wife has put me on one. But we're all on a diet at one point or another. And how does a diet start? It starts with a goal. You say, I want to lose 10 pounds by the end of the year. Okay, that's great. You have a goal. If you stay focused on that goal, you will never lose 10 pounds. Because what's the next thing we do? We go from our goal to the scale. We say, okay, I'm going to step on the scale. Scale, please tell me if I've lost any of these 10 pounds. I haven't lost any pounds. I gained a pound. Okay. And we keep coming back to the scale, and you go through a week where you eat well, you're exercising, you're drinking a lot of water, you're doing all the right things, and you get on the scale and you gain weight, you quit the diet. If you focus on your goal, you won't achieve it. Instead, you have to focus on your behaviors. Your behaviors are what are in your control. You control the food that you put in your mouth. You control the liquids that you put in your mouth. You control how much exercise you do. You control how you feel about the weight that you are. You control how you feel about the amount of food that you're eating. You could either be like, feel deprived and miserable. Oh my God, this is the worst thing in the world. I'm eating less than I used to eat. I'm starving all the time. I feel miserable. I can't believe I'm on this diet. It's awful. Or you could say, I'm proud of myself. I'm eating less than I used to eat. I had this instead of that. I feel good. I know that if I keep this up, when I get on the scale is going to tell me something good. If the scale doesn't tell me something good right now, I know that if I keep this up, I'm going to get where I'm going. Right now, we treat the scale as if the scale is an oracle sent down from God to tell us about ourselves. When you're on a diet, it's like, oh, mighty oracle, please tell me what I should think about myself today. You're fat. The oracle has spoken. If you focus too much on your goal, you focus on what it is you weigh, then you're never going to achieve your goal. You have to focus on your behaviors. Think about our kids. We have goals for our kids. We want our kids to be responsible. We want them to be mature. We want them to work hard in school, to work hard at their extracurriculars, to hang out with the right people. We want them to be engaged. We want all these wonderful things for our kids. And because we want these things for them and because we focus on those goals for them, we spend most of our time as parents being agitated. Why are you doing that? I told you not to do that. Get over here, do your homework. What? You're only one page in. I told you to get your homework done. And we spend all our time fussing and fussing and fussing because these kids won't do what we have in mind for them in terms of our goals. We are focused on our goal. If you focus on your goal, you'll never achieve it. You have to focus on your behaviors. Behaviors are things that are in your control solely. So you can't control what your kids do. You can control your reaction to your kids. You control rewards. You control consequences. You control your consistency. You control whether you deliver on the things that you say you're going to do. You control whether you respond to your kids at a level 10 or a level 3. You control what you control. And when you focus on the part that's in your control, which are your behaviors, you tend to achieve your goals. So how does this work? The way that I do it in my life, when I set a goal for myself, I make a goal and I'll say, whatever it is, I want to lose 10 pounds. So then I immediately look and I say, behaviors are very short term. I only believe that I can control my behaviors for 7 days. That's it. So when I set a goal, I say, what can I do today that's going to help me get closer to that goal? What can I do tomorrow that's going to help me get closer to that goal? And what can I do this week that's going to get me closer to that goal? Today, tomorrow, and this week. I write things down in those 3 categories and plan out how I'm going to go after the goals that I have in my life. And that gets me focused on my behaviors. And I know that if I focus on my behaviors day after day, I keep myself motivated day after day. I feel good about what I've done because I say, I did this, I did that, I did that. I'm not worried about the goal. I'm not worried about how much I weigh. I'm not worried about how many sales I've made. I'm not worried about anything that's outside of my control. I'm focused 100% on the part that's in my control. If you want to achieve your goals, don't focus on them. If you want to achieve your goals, you have to focus on the behaviors that are the building blocks that get you to your goals. Thank you very much.
Well, good day, everyone, and welcome to We Were Born to Slay, a career goal setting workshop. Today is part 2, implementing the plan. I am Jasmine Guy, and I will be your series facilitator. The video that we just watched was Reggie Rivers doing a TED Talk on goal setting. For those of you who do not know who Reggie Rivers is, he is a former running back for the Denver Broncos. And I thought it was really great insight that Reggie provided us, because he told us instead of focusing in on our goals, we really need to focus in on our behaviors and how to actually achieve our goals. And actually, a lot of the learning that I do for myself happens to do a lot with learning from TED Talks and learning from individuals who are famous, who are ambitious, and who are successful, like Reggie Rivers, and learning from their stories. And so today, I look forward to sharing with you some of my stories about goal setting to help you along your journey. Achieving your goals can be difficult. We all know the routine. We set lofty goals and start pushing, trying to break free from our comfort zone. But things happen. We get distracted, frustrated, fed up, overwhelmed, and eventually we revert to our old ways. Does that sound familiar to you? If so, type yes in the chat box. Clearly, we all struggle with goals at some point in our lives. But there are also those goals that we seem to set and eventually achieve. In fact, nothing can deter us towards these goals. We have a determined spirit and a relentless drive, overcoming anything that stands in our way. So what's the difference between goals we eventually achieve and goals that we give up on? How can we set goals so that we can achieve them all the time and not just some of the time? To answer these questions, let's assess the mechanisms of goal setting, then review some strategies that will help us achieve our goals all the time. So let our journey begin today. In order for me to have a better understanding of who is in our audience, we're going to have Ursula Pavlovich, our VP of Administration, upload our first poll. And the first poll question is, did you attend We Born to Slay, a career goal setting workshop, part 1, career mapping, whether that was through NAAA HR Chicago or the Women's Board of the Chicago Urban League? And the results are coming in, and it looks like the majority of our audience attended the last workshop. That is great. If you did not attend the last workshop, Ursula is going to go ahead and put a link in the chat box to our workbook. Throughout today's program, for those of you that have the workbook, I encourage you to take notes under the notes section. Also, there's going to be a resource full of worksheets that will help you in terms of implementing your goals. Next, Ursula, if you could please launch the next poll question, and it's a part 2 to the last question. So if you attended part 1, did you use any of the program materials between sessions? So here I'm referring to the actual workbook. Ursula, can you please launch the poll question, please? Great. I'm seeing results coming in. So of the individuals that attended our last session, It looks like the majority of the individuals utilized the workbook. And if you didn't utilize the workbook after part one, I know that after part two, you are going to definitely want to utilize this workbook because it is a companion that's going to help you along your journey in actually successfully implementing your goals. After all, that is the only way we are able to slay our goals. We have to put pen to paper. To make sure that we have order in today's program, we have some house rules. Number one, this program requires that you engage from beginning to end. It will be highly participatory and engaging. We will utilize the chat box. We will utilize the poll functionality, and it's going to also ask that you ask very thought-provoking questions in the chat box to ensure that all of your questions are answered to make sure you are prepared to slay your goals. Next, we need to honor the safety of this space. There are going to be individuals who are going to share in the chat box their experiences, things that they have been struggling with, and we want to make sure that we are supportive. And so we want to provide a safe space for that people feel comfortable in sharing. That goes along with the next house rule: respect fellow participants. Next, we want to create dangerously. We want to be able to share in the chat box. We want to think about our wildest dreams, and we want to live them. And so I challenge each of you to create dangerously. Do not sit there and just prevent yourself from living your wildest dreams, because I know you can do it. In order to make sure that we can hear today's presentation, we're going to have everyone to be muted. But again, you can ask questions in the chat box. You can interact with fellow participants through the chat box. And if you're going to ask a question in the chat box, we ask that you type out the word question in capital letters, followed by a colon, and then your question. That way, your question does not get lost with all of the other wonderful conversation as well as resources that will be shared in the chat box. Also, as I mentioned earlier, I encourage you to connect with other participants through the chat box. You can share thoughts, resources, and your contact information, including your LinkedIn handle. And last but not least, Ursula will do a great job with providing links to resources in the chat box. Be sure to copy and paste those resources as you may want to reference them later. So in the chat box, type yes if you can commit to abiding to these house rules. And once I see a great level of commitment, then we will go ahead and begin today's program. All right, I'm starting to see lots of yeses come through. I am very excited to join you today and in helping you to slay your goals. So let's go ahead and get started. Oftentimes, people ask themselves and question themselves, do I need a plan? Well, sooner or later, everyone faces the need to change and rethink their life. The first thing to do in this situation is to rethink the path you have traveled before making any critical decisions in your life. Your trajectory may affect all these decisions. 1, the direction of your future career and professional development. 2, starting your own business. 3, downshifting or complete restart of an occupation. If you have at least one of the following questions, then developing a personal strategy is the best way to meet your needs. Why am I tired of my job? And how do I deal with professional burnout? What to do next? What to learn? What industry to grow in if the job does not meet your expectations? Which goals should you set yourself up for and why? What direction to choose and how do I evaluate my prospects in it? How to set criteria for personal development and achieve independence. How to make dreams come true. Which way to reboot your life and not lose your achievement. How to build a new professional development strategy based on your experience and knowledge. How to start from scratch or get new resources of income in a modern economy. What is the best way to switch to a different profession and change the format? How to overcome the glass ceiling in professional development. How to find your niche and choose an exciting and promising specialization. So again, if you answered yes to any of those questions or you've been thinking about any of those questions, type I in the chat box. Because if so, once again, you need to make a plan. In order for dreams to come true, we must all make a plan, and that is why we are all here today. So thank you for making step one by tuning into today's webinar. And then step two is you're going to take all the information that you've learned and you're going to go ahead and put it into action. So today's agenda, we are going to go ahead and review some of the principles that we learned in part one of our series last month, What is Goal Setting? Next, we're going to talk about the role of goals and stress relief, because right now, a lot of us are experiencing a high level of stress during this pandemic. And we need to talk about the role that stress plays on our goals, right? And reaching where we want to be in life. And we would be negligent not to acknowledge those. Next in our journey today, we'll talk about some goal setting theories. I used to be on the rowing team in high school, so I love to use boating analogies. And so we're going to talk about rotors and oars. And then next, I'm going to give you some quick bulletproof strategies for achieving goals. And then, of course, we're going to go ahead and take questions and answers. Sounds like a pretty lengthy agenda. We're going to integrate some videos. As we stated earlier, we're going to have to utilize the chat box. We're going to utilize the polling functionality. And of course, we're going to make this engaging. We're going to make this enlightening. We're going to get you excited and energized and empowered to take your dreams to the next level. And that's actually implementing them. In the chat box, please share with me, why did you decide to register for today's webinar? This will help to guide me in how I shape our dialogue today. So in the chat box right now, explain to me very quickly, why did you decide to engage in today's webinar? Someone just said, I wanted a systematic way of setting goals. Very good, Jill. Julius says, growth opportunity. Welcome, Julius. Kimberly says that she wants to build a toolbox to achieve her goals. Welcome, Kimberly. I'm here to help you do that. Someone else said the first session was very informative. Thank you. I figured the second would help me better set goals for growth. Well, this is wonderful. Thank you, Ms. Rosa, for attending. All right, now I have a better understanding of why people are here, other than why I thought they were here. So let's go ahead and review some of the principles that we learned in the last session. So before we gave a very general overview about goal setting, in our session, we discussed that goal setting is a process for thinking about your ideal future and for motivating yourself to turn this vision of the future into reality. Process of goal setting will guide you and get you to where you want to go in life. We also agreed that setting goals can be motivating, and as you get into the habit of setting and achieving goals, you will find your self-confidence builds fast. Most consultants will ask you, what does success look like to you? In very specific terms, what do you want to achieve? If we are serious about achieving our goals, we should start with a much different question. Rather than considering what kind of success that we want, we should ask, what kind of pain do I want? Having goals is the easy part. Everyone wants to achieve their goals, but the real challenge is if you are willing to accept the sacrifices required to achieve our goals. Oftentimes people get very envious and they wonder, I wonder how Nicole got that new car. I wonder how Bob received that promotion. It's not fair. Simply, do you know their journey? Do you know the sacrifices that it took for Nicole to get that car or for Bob to actually get that promotion? Were you there with Bob when he was spending sleepless nights working on projects? Were you with Nicole when she took on a second job in order to be able to save money to buy that car? Oftentimes, we look at individual success and not understand their journey. Well, I must be honest. All successful people, again, all successful people make plans for their lives. And so it is important that you make a plan for your life. And when you do, you have to ask yourself, what kind of pain am I willing to endure in order to make my dreams come true? And a lot of times, people focus in on the goals and they don't really enjoy the process and really focus in on the process. And so we're going to talk about that today because as Reggie Rivers talked about, it's important that we look at our behaviors and how we react to our goals and the things that we're willing to commit to in order to achieve them. So many people ask, well, why goal setting? Goals give you long-term vision and short-term motivation. Again, goals give you long-term vision and what? Short-term motivation. It focuses your acquisition of knowledge and helps you to manage your time and resources so that you can live your best life. Goals keep us focused. They keep our eyes on the prize. They transform big problems into small obstacles. They make decision-making a lot easier for us, and they actually hold us accountable for our failures. And after all, when we are setting goals and we are achieving goals, we actually welcome failure. And a little later in today's webinar, we're going to talk about why we should welcome failure. So, in the chat box, please share what career goals you are working towards in 2021. It's important that we share with one another so that we can be supportive of one another in our journey. So again, in the chat box, please share what career goals you are working towards in 2021. Go ahead, manifest your goals, say them publicly because that too helps you to be accountable. I see someone says that in 2021, they are looking for a promotion. And Martina, I claim that for you. Someone else says they want to build a team of financial coaches. Amber says that she wants to be a higher education administrator. Someone else says they want to start their own business. Someone else says they want to relocate and they want to switch their careers. Someone else says they want to get professional certifications. I'm seeing more people say they want to get professional certifications. Someone else says they want to create a more diverse work culture. You all have such wonderful career goals in 2021 that I know that you can make them become a reality. You want to know why I know you can make them become a reality? Because a lot of the goals that you have set for yourself, I have set them for myself in the past, and I've actually made them a reality. And so today I am seen as your career partner. If you would like to connect with me after today's session, when we can sit down and develop a detailed plan for you in realizing your dreams. I also have a consultancy practice, and I'm able to do that for you for a very low nominal fee. But I am very excited that a lot of you have already started thinking about your career goals. But next, we need to talk about why most people fail. People sometimes set out very lofty goals for themselves, however they fail. So here are some top reasons as to why people typically fail their goals. And since 7 is my lucky number, you're going to notice I do a lot of things in today's session based on 7. So number one reason why most people fail is bad goal definition. Simply, it's not clearly defined. 2, they fail to choose the right goal. 3, they leave it to chance. They do not plan. They do not sign up for this workshop. They do not utilize the resources in the workbooks. They just go through life looking aimlessly, and any opportunity that comes their way, they take it, whether it's good or whether it's bad. They also do not share their goals. That's why I wanted you to practice today the importance of sharing your goals. Because when you make a public declaration of what your goals are, that means that you are going to now have accountability partners. So there are going to be individuals who say, Jasmine, you said that in 2021, you wanted to lose 10 pounds. I don't see you exercising. Is everything okay? Is that no longer your goal? And then I will reply back, actually, it is my goal. I'm really excited. I just purchased a bike yesterday. And so as a result, I will start biking. You haven't been seeing me exercising because it's been cold outside, but as soon as it is nice and decent and not windy on the lakefront, I will be up and down the lakefront path, and I can't wait for you to join me. Another reason why people fail their goals is they simply do not set milestones. You have to set milestones, and you have to celebrate your victory. You have to be able to see the finish line, and without a definitive plan, you cannot do so. Also, people do not think of the work, and lastly, their goals are simply unrealistic. So today we're going to talk about having smarter goals. In part 1 of the series, we talked about smart goals, we talked about dumb goals, and today we're going to talk about smarter goals. As I mentioned earlier, I am a diversity and inclusion professional, and I have integrated mental health and wellness into my diversity and inclusion practice. And so I cannot go and talk about the importance of goal setting without also talking about how stress, right, affects our goals and us making our goals a reality. So what we experience as stress is really an interaction of events that happen in our lives, our thoughts, and resulting emotional reactions to those events. The way we perceive our stressors and our emotional responses to those perceptions are what triggers the body's stress response. This results in the experience of stress. Because of this, a significant goal of stress management focuses on examining our thoughts about our stressors. By doing this, we can then change our feelings and our stress responses. Another goal of stress management involves minimizing the stressors we experience in a typical day. Both goals are important and both require some forethought. Goals matter. Setting the right goals and having a plan to reach those goals and following through on what is required to reach or maintain those goals may help you feel greater happiness and fulfillment while reducing stress levels. Goals can also be a source of stress, as we stated earlier. They can create excessive pressure and make you feel bad when you don't achieve the goals you have set. This is particularly true if goals are unrealistically high or if you don't have a workable plan in place. This is why many people forgo setting New Year's resolutions entirely. It's difficult to keep going after your goals if you keep missing the mark year after year after year. It's also much harder to reach your goals when you don't know the best way to go about setting them and working towards them. Now, let's talk about the role of goals in personal happiness. Another area of life that's closely linked with stress and stress management is personal happiness and fulfillment. The growing field of positive psychology examines what factors contribute to happiness and resilience. We're going to keep in mind that we want our goals to energize us. We want them to make us happy. We want to know that our goals are going to make us better people. So at this time, I want to get a temperature and I want to see how people are feeling about their goals in this present moment. So in this present moment in space, how are you feeling about your goals? The poll has launched. please answer. Are you feeling anxious? Are you feeling excited? Are you feeling empowered? Are you feeling encouraged? Are you feeling nervous? Are you feeling optimistic? Do you have mixed emotions? And throughout today's workshop, I'm going to check in with you at different points, and I want to know how you are feeling, and I want your honest answer. I want you to let me know how you are feeling. It looks like we have 62% of our participants who have answered the question. And so at this point, I am going to, looks like we're getting 68%. I don't want to block anyone from participating, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to end the poll, and then I am going to share our results. And so as you can see here, we have a tie between feeling optimistic and having mixed emotions at 32%. Next, at 23%, we have people are feeling encouraged. Very good. At 14%, we have people feeling empowered. And then we have a tie for 9%. Some people are feeling anxious. That's expected. Some people are feeling excited. That's expected. And some people are feeling nervous. Guess what? That's expected too. All of these emotions are expected. And depending upon what the goal is, that really depends on how I'm actually feeling, because I don't always have the same feelings about all of my goals. So that's why I wasn't surprised to see a high percentage of people say mixed emotions. Well, thank you so much for sharing with me how you are feeling, because when I ask you how you're feeling, I want to know honestly how you're feeling. I don't want it to be when somebody sees you going down the street and go, oh, how are you today? I'm fine, and they keep going. If you're not fine, I'm going to stop. I'm going to ask you, what is bothering you so that I can help you, right? This is the only way we're able to help one another. So what goals to set? So how do you decide what kind of goals will be most beneficial for you? It is often a matter of looking at what you need or what you want to accomplish. If you're feeling stressed to the point of being overwhelmed, it is a good idea to focus your goals more toward minimizing and managing stress. If you are feeling general stress, but nothing too severe, and are finding a general lack of fulfillment and happiness, it is a good idea to set some stress management goals while also focusing on goals that promote happiness and meaning in life. After all, we want you to be happy. We want you to be excited about your dreams. And it's okay to be anxious. It's okay to be nervous. We want it to be a happy nervous. We want it to be a happy anxious. And there is a difference between them. I always like to refer to scholarship, and I always like to refer to theories. And so now we're going to talk about some goal setting theories. Like most theories in psychology, goal setting theories started with the ideas from Dr. Edwin A. Locke in his article, Toward a Theory of Task Motivation and Incentives. In it, he explained the need for clear and specific goals that are challenging and monitored with regular feedback and progress. Locke, along with Dr. Gary Latham, produced 5 principles of effective goal setting. These principles include clarity, challenge, commitment, feedback, and task complexity. Goal setting theory 1, clarity. Goals should be clear and well defined. Goal setting theory 2, challenge. Goals should be achievable, but also challenging to you. Goal setting theory principle number 3, commitment. You should fully commit to your goals to achieve them. 4, feedback. You should regularly evaluate and reflect on your goals to stay on track. And last but not least, task complexity. You should give yourself time and space to reach your goals. Additional research has been done by psychology professor Dr. Gail Matthews, as she points out an association between writing down your goals and eventual success rather than merely formulating and keeping them in your head. It's always great that we put pen to paper, and that is why we're going to utilize our workbooks The link is what Ursula provided us in the chat box to make sure that we are documenting our goals. We're going to continue to come back to part 3 of this series in mid-April, and then part 4 later in the year as we continue to work together towards setting our goals. Also in the chat box, Ursula is going to share with you a video that's going to talk about Dr. Locke's theory. It's a very short video. I believe it's about 3 minutes, and it's going to really help to break down that science more for you. I was a psychology major, and so you're going to hear me bring up a lot of psychology theory, and that is why I always believe it is important that we go back to scholarship and we're not just focusing in on Jasmineism. As I mentioned earlier, I used to be on the rowing team in high school, and I participated all 4 years. And rowing really taught me a lot about teamwork, and a lot of the things that it taught me about teamwork and collaboration and working hard and being in a lot of pain. Sometimes I would be in a lot of pain coming home. Sometimes it'd be physical pain you can see because I might have cuts and bruises. Other times my bones are aching. But it was definitely well worth it. So when I ask people, what are you willing to sacrifice? I'm always thinking back to when I was on the rowing team. And I like to use the analogy of rotors and oars. This is a metaphor of the rotor, and we'll just talk a little bit about this. So I would like for you to close your eyes and imagine that you're in a small rowboat. Your goals are like the rotor on the boat. They set the direction and determine where you go. If you commit to one goal, then the rotor stays put and you continue moving forward. If you flip-flop between goals, then the rotor moves all around, and it is easy to find yourself rowing in circles, kind of like that hamster on a wheel, just spinning and spinning and spinning and not going anywhere. However, there is another part of the boat that is even more important than the rotor. That is the oars. If the rotor is your goal, then the oars are your process to achieving it. While the rotor determines your direction, it is the oars that determine your progress. Goals are useful for setting the direction. Systems are great for making progress. In fact, the primary benefit of having a goal is that it tells you what sort of system you need to put in place. However, the system itself is what achieves the goals and the results. This brings us to our second key insight. Goals determine your direction. Systems determine your progress. You'll never get anywhere just by holding the rotor. You must row. Now go ahead and open your eyes. So this metaphor of the rotor and the oars helps clarify the difference between systems and goals. It is an important distinction that shows up everywhere in life. If you're a coach, your goal is to win a championship. Your system is what your team does at practice every day. If you're a writer, your goal is to write a book. Your system of writing the schedule is what helps you to follow up every week, and that's something that you really stick to. If you're a runner, your goal is to run a marathon. Your system is your training schedule for the month. If you are an entrepreneur, your goal is to build $1 million business. Your system is your sales and your marketing. If that makes sense to you, go ahead and type yes in the chat box. If it doesn't make sense to you, I will do my best not to utilize rowing analogy moving forward. All right, awesome. It looks like it's resonating with people, so you might get some more sports analogies. All right, so back to how you are feeling. So in the poll, please let me know at this point. Hopefully I see some changes. Hopefully I make some people feel rest assured. Maybe I've helped to empower some more people. And so I really just want to check in on you to see how are you feeling at this current moment. All right, and so the voting is taking place. Right now, we are at 64% of participants have answered. All right, looks like I'm at 70%. I'm getting more participation. So this is definitely a sign that I have more people along here with me on the journey who are engaged. All right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to end the polling. And it looks like 31% of individuals are optimistic. 27% of individuals are engaged. 23% feel empowered. Then I have 12% feeling excited. And then there's a tie between feeling anxious and mixed emotions at 4%. But this time I have 0% feeling nervous. So I feel really good about how we are all feeling right now in this present moment. And we will have 2 more check-ins in today's session. I want to make sure that people are feeling great along the journey. As I mentioned earlier, I am going to go ahead and provide you some critical bulletproof strategies for achieving your goals. Everyone has goals in life. I must emphasize that. I know sometimes you think people are roaming around aimlessly, but everyone has goals in life. And we all want to accomplish something, whether it's big or small, no matter who we are. Yet we don't always have the wherewithal to see things through. We just simply don't always have the grit to get past the tough times and push through the pain to achieve our goals. You see, I'm going to keep bringing up pain, right? There's no pain, guess what? There's no gain. And now you know why. All right, so how to achieve goals? Well, achieving any goal in life is not just about setting clear, defined goals, wanting them badly enough. You also must deploy the right strategies for achieving them. If you don't go about it in the right way, then no matter what you do or how badly you think you want it, you won't see things through. Here are some quick tips on how to achieve goals. It requires consistent and persistent action. Again, and say it out loud, but do not unmute yourself. Achieving goals, say it. Achieving goals requires consistent and persistent action. It requires throwing caution to the wind and enduring tremendous amounts of pain and struggle today in order to reap the rewards and benefits for tomorrow. You'll learn how to navigate around the hurdles by implementing the right strategies to succeed in the long term rather than trying to make things happen quickly. And that is what we are going to talk about today. As I mentioned earlier, in part 1 of our series, we talked about SMART goals. Today, we're going to talk about smarter goals. So a good goal is smart and a bad goal is dumb. So in part 1 of our series, we defined a dumb goal as a goal that is dateless, unsupportive, muddy, and beyond reach. So the smart part of smarter goals is our goal setting and alignment. And that ER, that's more about our goal tracking. So smarter goals are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant and aligned, time-bound, evaluated, and readjusted. So when our goals are specific, they answer the 5 W's. What, why, who, where, and which. Be very clear and specific about the outcome that you want to be achieved here. Next, measurable. If your goal is not measurable, there will be no way to know if you are making progress. You need to address the question, how will I know when this is accomplished? Specify the milestones or key results that indicate meaningful progress. Attainable. Your goal must be something that you can realistically attain. I would love to fly like a bird by jumping off of a cliff with no parachute, but gravity would have the last word in that interaction. However, learning to jump off a cliff with a hang glider is way more realistic, or going zip lining. I actually had an opportunity of doing that. That was one of the last activities I did before the beginning of the pandemic, and I must say it was scary, but it was something that I said set forth with doing. So it's something I really wanted to do. I was nervous. My mom was with me, and she said, no, you can do it. You can do it. Go have fun. This is something that you want to do. You want to achieve it. And I did it. So we talked about our goals being attainable. Then we next have to talk about our goals being relevant and aligned. They have to be in alignment with who we are. So our goals have to be in alignment with who we say we are. They have to be in alignment with our own personal values. They also have to be relevant for the time. So right now it's 2021. We're in a pandemic. So you have to make sure your goals are relevant and realistic for the fact that we're in a pandemic. And if you decide you want to continue in your company, you need to make sure that your own personal career goals are aligned with the company's goals and your department goals. If you have decided that you want to continue to be in the same industry and profession, you need to make sure you can look at trends that are going on in your profession and in your industry to make sure that your actual goals are in alignment with where the industry is going. And if it's not, you might need to recalibrate and you might need to change your goals. We also talked about earlier the importance of having milestones. And so therefore we have to make sure that our smarter goals are time bound. And then, of course, when we're documenting everything, we have to look at our journey. We have to continue to evaluate. And when we evaluate our goals and where we are on our journey, we must also sometimes have to say, okay, it's okay to reset. It's okay to change some of our implementation steps because we see that where we are now is not truly where we want to be and where we want to get to. We need to actually change some of our goals. And so it's okay to click reset. It's also okay to pause because maybe right now our goal no longer makes sense because of other things external from ourselves and beyond our own control have taken place. And as a result, we might have to just go ahead and press pause on that goal, but we're going to come back to it once external factors have changed. And then, of course, we always have to readjust. We have to be flexible. And I think that a lot of us have demonstrated that we can be flexible in the midst of a pandemic, and we've had to pivot and we've had to change. And so I am encouraged to know that you're able to implement smarter goals just because of everything that you've gone through so far during the pandemic. Next, that brings us to the importance of creating a plan of action. Planning is one of the most important strategies associated with achievement of any goal. Yet many of us fail to create detailed and intricate plans to realize our dreams. We have some abstract notions in our minds that will only take us to part of the way in our journey to achieving our goals, but it won't propel those goals forward. Anyone who is serious about goal setting needs to create a massive action plan and be willing to take action on a daily basis. Again, I will say it, on a daily basis. Every single day, without fail, you must be working towards your goal. And that is the only way you'll be able to achieve your goal the way your heart desires. So in the chat box, let me know if you are willing to have daily plans of action and you're willing to commit to them every day. All right, I'm starting to see some yeses coming in, and then we're going to go ahead then and talk then more about creating a plan because I wanted to stop if people weren't serious about this. All right, but I see that you are. So we complete and create a plan of action. We must evaluate our competitiveness and its components. For example, the different types of intellect, whether it's mental, social, emotional, and our abilities as well as our competencies. We must create a refined personal objectives field by running capabilities and preferences through several methods. We must also increase our time horizon and scale of thinking. Next, we must conduct a detailed career guidance test. And so there are lots of tools that we can utilize for free online. And in fact, we're going to actually take an assessment a little later on in today's workshop in real time. And then next, we need to consider opportunities for adjusting our educational and our career trajectory, because, you know, how we used to work and perform in business in the 90s was different than how we performed in work and how we looked at our careers in 2000. And now that we're in 2021 and most of us are working remotely from now, that changes how we do business. And so therefore, our change of action is going to constantly change. And so we need to be able to adapt with it. We must also decide on the crucial question of whether to work for hire or run our own business. I think that a lot of people right now are starting to question that, and they're starting to ask themselves that. And that's something that we have to really sit down and ask ourselves several different questions about. And then again, we have to ask ourselves, how much pain are we willing to endure to run our own business? Because the way in which you work on your 9 to 5 is going to be totally different once you actually run your own business. And we talked about stress before. Your stress level will intensify, but the rewards will be worth it. But you have to put in the work. Next, we have to consider making a micro-analysis of our current environment, assess the opportunities and the threats of the situation, your strengths and weaknesses. So going back to the whole idea of a SWOT analysis. Next, we need to create business income and expenditure model if we're going to start our own business, which will form the basis of a long-term financial plan. And then, of course, you want to formulate your mission and your vision for your strategy. So as you can see with creating a plan of action for your own personal career goals, it is the same in which you would do for any strategic planning that you would do at your organization for your organization. So for those of you who have project management certifications, you'll see that a lot of the things that you learn in your project management certification classes are applicable here. Or if you are a project manager at work, whether you have that formal title or not. It is also important that we eliminate bad habits, because bad habits hold us back from achieving our goals. They stifle our progress and they get in the way of our hopes and our dreams. By eliminating your bad habits, you can easily illuminate a pathway for eventually reaching your goal. So right now, I'm going to take a pause and I want you to simply think about, what are some of your bad habits that are holding you back from achieving your goal? And what are you going to do? So you can ask yourself this now, but you don't have to answer it now because that's going to take an action plan. But what are you going to do to eliminate those bad habits so that they don't prohibit you from achieving your goal? So we're going to go ahead, we're going to take a pause, a moment of reflection for you to think about that. So what are we going to do to eliminate our bad habits so that we can slay our goals, manifest our dreams, and live the life that we've learned and we want to live? Next, we're going to talk about instilling self-discipline. No goals can be achieved without discipline. Self-discipline allows us to put our goal achievement on cruise control. To the person disciplined, anything is possible. To the person that lacks self-discipline, any menial task you seem to take will seem to be very daunting to you. The surest road to becoming a self-disciplined person is through your habits. Even if you write out your goals and set them the right way, without discipline, following through becomes next to impossible, creating an atmosphere for goal achievement by instituting the right habits into your life that will foster discipline. To acknowledge discipline, you need order and organization in your life. When things are chaotic and you're losing your grip on things, it's far harder to stay focused in achieving your goals. But order and organization leads to discipline, which in turn leads to goal achievement. So it's important that we instill some self-discipline and we eliminate bad habits. And I know that you can do that. Going along with actually instilling some self-discipline and actually making sure you eliminate bad habits, you have to also learn to mitigate your distractions. So I know that in 2021, we are always having our smartphones around us. We're getting so many different notifications, whether it's from our computers, whether it's from our phones, whether it's from we're watching a TV show and all of a sudden, the news alert, they send us something, or there's something scrolling at the bottom of our favorite TV program, or you hear sirens outside because the fire department is coming down the street, anything, right? Those are distractions. And we have to learn how to cancel out the noise around us. And we have to be consciously aware of the distractions that are all around us and how easily distracted we get because of them. And then we have to work to eliminate them. So I know right now, a lot of us have our entire families in our homes, and a lot of us are working from home, and we have our children in our home, and they're doing their virtual learning, and that's noise. And then your husband decides he wants a smoothie, and so now all of a sudden you hear the blender, and now you are trying to focus in on your work. And somehow you have to figure out, how can you cancel out the noise around you in order to get your work done? And while you may not be able to actually tell your kids, hi kids, I don't want you to learn right now, mommy needs you to be quiet or daddy needs you to be quiet, you have to some way be able to tune them out. You have to be able to tune out that blender. And I know for some people that can be very challenging, but you have to learn to practice it in order for you to be able to achieve your goals. And by removing the distractions, we lend more free time to actually pursue our goals, whether they're focusing on the things that do not matter much around us. You'll likely know where much of your free time is going already and what distractions are actually eating away your schedule. And so this is going to help us to kind of practice some mindfulness, and we have to learn how to mitigate our distractions, and we have to learn how to eliminate the noise around us, eliminate those bad habits, and really have and demonstrate some self-discipline. I know it's going to stretch yourself, but you can do it. Next, we're going to talk about the importance of leveraging daily goal setting. And we talked about earlier how if we're going to actually achieve our goals, we must focus on them daily. And you have to ask yourself two critical questions. What will you accomplish and achieve today? And then you have to take your month-long goal or your 12-month goal and then break them down into milestones. And so we're going to listen to an expert, very short video about how to leverage daily goal setting.
So in this video, I'm going to share with you what are the most powerful goals you could ever set. Stay tuned. Solomon said over 3,000 years ago that if you lack vision, you perish. And the starting point of all goals is clearly a vision. Most people don't even have that. In fact, most people's goals are, how do I get through the week? But having a vision is one thing. Having a big goal is critical. But most people stop there. Most people don't start oiling the garden gate until it starts squeaking, which means that most people don't start on their yearly vision until around about day 360. So what makes it real? And that is the most important goals you could ever set, daily goals. See, every single day, the sun rises, the sun sets. Once that day is gone, it's gone forever. But what you do with that joyous 24 hours added together allows you to make up your entire life. Stepping every day, 356 towards your annual goal is a critical part of the process. Don't be put off, don't be distracted. There's so many things out there that are vying for your attention to throw you off track. If you set daily goals, or even if it's one thing every single day that you can do to go towards your vision, set that goal. Most people get too caught up in, what's my quarterly goal? What's my monthly goal? They're all great chunks, but nothing happens unless you set daily goals. Daily goals are what make things real. And if it's not real, it doesn't happen. If you don't schedule it, it doesn't happen. And you schedule your life one day at a time. You live your life one day at a time, but when you set your goals one day at a time, I promise you'll look back in 365 days and think, wow, my annual vision has come to fruition. The chances of you actualizing that annual goal that yearly goal, that big goal, that vision for your life suddenly becomes a lot more real and a lot more tangible. So what are some of your daily goals that you're setting, that you're committing to? Now, if you like this video, please hit subscribe, smash the like button, make sure you click the bell for the notifications, and leave a comment.
Okay, so in the chat box, if you could please share with your fellow participants, what are one of the daily goals that you set every day? So in the chat box, if you could please answer the question, what are one of the daily goals you set? Journal what I eat and exercise. Someone else says run 20 minutes every day. Someone else says meditate for 15 minutes. Someone else says burn 800 calories per day. Someone else says spend 15 minutes on dissertation work. Someone else says read a Bible verse. Someone says get at least 10 minutes of devotion. Someone else says walk 10,000 steps. This is great. I'm loving it. So lately, I have really been utilizing my Calm app, and I've noticed that when I actually listen to the meditations on the Calm app, like how much at peace I am. And so whether it's me doing a personal meditation on my own or me actually utilizing an app, that is something that I have dedicated and said I'm going to do that every day because I noticed that it helps to eliminate stress. It keeps me at peace. It keeps me centered. It keeps me focused on my goals. It makes me happier. It helps me to really reclaim my spirit. And so I encourage each and every one of you to start setting goals daily that will actually help you to get to your much larger goal. And if you set small goals daily and you see that you're actually achieving them, you're going to feel better about your actual long-term goals. And you're not going to feel like, oh my goodness, that's so far away. It's going to feel like it is almost here. I can do it. I'm empowered. I'm excited. And you will, next thing you know it, you will be achieving your goals. Next in the chat box, I want you to answer another question. How do you feel about setting goals daily? So our expert on the video said, the importance of us setting goals. So I want to know how people are feeling about that. You may not even agree with that. And guess what? It's okay not to agree with it. But I just want to know, again, how you feel about setting goals every day. Like, does it feel attainable? Someone says that it feels very positive. Someone says it's a good idea to do it. I just need the discipline of doing it. And I will say, you got this. Someone says they use Mondays.com every day, and that helps them with achieving their goals. And someone else says they agree it's a good process. Someone else says at times it's overwhelming, but I know it's a good idea. Great. Next thing we're going to talk about something that none of us can say that we're not, and we haven't been there at some point in our life, and that is being a procrastinator. And it's important that we avoid procrastination. Procrastination, in fact, is a silent killer that keeps us from achieving our goals. It stifles our progress and forces us to retreat into the clutches of comfort and habit. Act rather than wait another day or moment to do what should be done now. One strategy for taking action and avoiding procrastination is to use the 15-minute rule. Set a time on your phone, since we love our smartphones. I know they're around you just like mine is right here. Set a time on your smartphone for 15 minutes and commit to doing the one thing you've been putting off the longest. And then once you take some action, then you've just created a little bit more momentum. To learn a little bit more about how to avoid procrastination, we're going to watch another video and hear from another expert. Let's watch.
You're not a procrastinator. You have a habit of procrastinating. Big difference. Because if it's a habit, I can teach you to use science to break it. So let's talk a little bit about procrastination. Who in here struggles with procrastination? Yeah, and the rest of you that are raising your hand are just procrastinating on doing it, aren't you? I know. You see, I always thought procrastination had to do with the thing I was procrastinating around, right? Like that procrastination has something to do with work. Believe it or not, procrastination has nothing to do with your work. Procrastination is a form of stress relief. Let me explain this. So let's say that you've got some stuff going on in your life, and heck, who doesn't have stuff going on in your life? Maybe you're fighting with your significant other. Maybe mom's or dad's health is failing and it's really, really upsetting you. Maybe you've got some financial stuff. You put too much of your savings into Bitcoin, and now that that's crashed, you're stressed out about it, right? And so you go into work, and when you get into work, you got stuff to do. You kind of walk in and you got this big stress ball that subconsciously is hanging over your head. And so you walk in and you sit down, and you know you got 13 phone calls you need to make. And you also know that you've been chickening out, you've been making easy calls, and there's a bunch of CIOs or other people that are higher level that you haven't been calling. And so as you sit down to do it, you got the stress on your shoulders, your brain, it starts to go, wait a minute, you want me to make a call to somebody that I'm scared to make? Absolutely not. I'm so stressed out about, can we just watch some cat videos for a minute? And next thing you know, an hour's gone by. And then, of course, what do? You beat yourself up. So the only way that you can break this habit, and that's an important word for you to hear, you're not a procrastinator. You have a habit of procrastinating. Big difference. Because if it's a habit, I can teach you to use science to break it. You see, all habits have three parts. There's a trigger, and in the case of procrastination, the trigger is always stress. Then there's a pattern you repeat, and in the case of procrastination, it is to avoid doing something. And then there's a reward. You get a little stress relief. The only way to break a habit, you guys, is not to deal with the triggers. You're never going to get rid of the stress in your life, but you can 100% change your pattern of avoiding work. So next time that you're in a situation where you feel yourself hesitate, you spent way too much time checking out the highlights from last night's scores, what you're going to do is you're going to go, oh, I must be stressed out about something. Acknowledge the stress. Then go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I want you to count to yourself because I want you to interrupt the habit that's stored here, and I want you to awaken your prefrontal cortex. Then I want you to just work, just for 5 minutes. The reason why I want you to only work for 5 minutes is because your problem isn't working. It's the habit of avoiding. I just need you to start. And here's the other cool thing. We know based on research that if we can get you to start, 80% of you are going to keep going.
Now that we've learned a little bit about avoiding procrastination, we're going to go ahead and take a procrastination quiz. In order to make sure this quiz is meaningful for you, I would like for you to take out a sheet of paper so you can keep up your responses. So question 1 is, I often find myself performing tasks that I had intended to do days before. So answer, not like me at all, not like me, neither like me or not, like me or very like me. If you answered not like me at all, give yourself a 5. If you answered not like me, give yourself a 4. If you answered not like me or not, give yourself a 3. If you answered like me, give yourself a 2. And if you answered very like me, give yourself a 1. We're going to go ahead and end the poll. And we see that 56% of individuals says that is like them. Then we have a tie for 17% for very like me and not like me. And then we have at 11% not like me at all. And then no one answered neither like me or not. All right. Then the next question. When planning a meeting, I make the necessary arrangements well in advance. So is that not like me at all, not like me, neither like me or not, like me, or very like me? If you rate it not like me at all, give yourself a 5. If you rate it not like me, give yourself a 4. If you rate it neither like me or not, that is 3. like me, give yourself a 2, and very like me, give yourself a 1. We're going to go ahead and end the polling. And it looks like 55% said very like me. We have 35% that says like me. We have 10% says not like me. And then we have 0% said neither like me or not like me at all. I hope you all are keeping up with your rating. There's 7 questions. We're almost there, completing our procrastination quiz. The next question is, I generally return emails and phone calls promptly. Is that not like me at all, not like me, neither like me or not, like me, or very like me? And again, if it's not like me at all, that's a rating of a 5, right? And if it's not like me, that's a rating of a 4. Neither like me or not is 3. Like me is 2, and very like me is 1. We're going to go ahead and end the poll, and we're going to see that 57% says that is like me. Moving right along to the next question. The next question is, I find that jobs often don't get done for days, even when they require little else except sitting down and doing them. Is that not like me at all, not like me, neither like me or not like me, or very like me? And then don't forget to go ahead and score your response too. At the end, I'm going to provide you with the results to me. Now we're going to go ahead and end the poll. And it seems like 42% of respondents says that is not like me. Next question. Once I have the information I need, I usually make decisions as soon as possible. Is that not like me at all, not like me, neither like me or not like me, or very like me? Do not forget to rate your response. We're almost there, everyone. Don't think too hard about it. We're going to go ahead and end the poll. And we see that 50% of the respondents say not like me. Next question. When I have something difficult to do, I tell myself that it's better to wait to do it until I feel inspired. Is that not like me at all, not like me, neither like me or not like me, or very like me? When I find something difficult to do, I tell myself that it's better to wait to do it until I'm feeling more inspired. Is that not like me at all, not like me, neither like me or not like me, or very like me? It appears that the poll closed. And so as a result, oh, now it's open. Okay, great. I was going to say we can use the chat box. But it looks like people can go ahead and respond in the polls, and the responses are coming through. And 43% of respondents said not like me, and 38% said like me. Don't forget to go ahead and rate your responses. Next question. When faced with a huge task, I figure out what the first step is so that I can get going. Is that not like me at all, not like me, neither like me or not like me, or very like me? Responses are coming in. We typically have about 65% of our participants to respond. So I'm going to guess another few seconds. Okay, now we're at 70%. Great. So 57% of our respondents say like me, 38% say very like me, and 5% says like me or not. All right, great. So everyone go ahead and tally up your scores. And if your score is 30 to 35, good news, you're not a systematic procrastinator. If you do, however, occasionally catch yourself procrastinating over something, I'm going to provide a link in the chat box for how you can deal with your procrastination. And Ursula's going to send some links about procrastination. If you scored 34 to 24, you're a mild procrastinator. You need to understand better why you procrastinate. There are several reasons for it. And the more you know, the more you can help yourself from doing it. Ursula's going to share those resources in the chat box. And then if you scored 7 to 23, you're a procrastinator, and it's not something to be proud of. It means that you miss deadlines and you waste a lot of time. And as a result, your boss is not getting from you what you're capable of delivering, or you're not getting from yourself what you deserve to give yourself. And if it's your boss, he or she is very frustrated about it. If it's personal goals, maybe this is why you're personally frustrated about your goals. And so we want to help you to eliminate those bad habits, procrastination being one of them. It's important that we manage our time. When we talk about procrastination, it's important that we also then talk about time management. And so here is the quadrant time management system. And time management helps us to avoid distractions while also utilizing the one resource we all have in common, and that is time. Time is the one thing that none of us can ever get back. And so it's important that we do not waste our time and one another's time. Time is the great equalizer across the planet. No one in the world has more time than the other. So implement the quadrant time management system, which splits your time into 4 separate quadrants. Focus as much of your efforts as possible on quadrant 2 while doing everything in your power to avoid quadrant 4. Audit your day to see how much time you're spending in each of these quadrants. So in time management, you're going to ask yourself some questions. You're going to ask yourself, how do you use your time? And then you're going to ask yourself, do you spend it in the right way, ensuring that you're allocating a good amount of time towards achieving your goals? Or you can ask yourself, how do you squander away your time? And the key takeaway here is to be open and honest with yourself while implementing a system that actually works for you. Next, I encourage you to implement something new that I just recently learned about, and that was the Pareto principle. And it is the 80-20 rule. And it says that 80% of the results come from 20% of your efforts. And it's important that you focus your attention on scaling out the small sets of efforts that are producing the biggest results. To implement, you first need to identify which efforts are producing the big gains. In sales, this also means that 80% of the sales comes from 20% of the clients. It's your job to identify the 20% of your efforts that are producing 80% of your results. Then amplify those efforts. To identify your 80-20, you need to also audit the activities related to your goals. That's that implementation part. What efforts are you putting in and what outcomes are you receiving from those efforts? That is what you're going to ask yourself when you're implementing the Pareto principle. As I stated earlier, it's important that we welcome failure as we are setting our goals and we are implementing them. And so while some of us might not think this strategy or achieving anything, failure is by far one of the surest pathways to success in any endeavor. Never, and I will say this, never give up on your hopes and your dreams. Accept it, understand it, learn from it, and then move on. That is the gift of failure. We must leverage as learning experiences so that we can start fresh and do it again. Henry Ford said, failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently. Failure is the only path to success, so fail early, fail sporadically, and the sooner you welcome failure as an element of success, the sooner you'll accomplish your goals. Time is running out, so Ursula is going to drop a link to the video in the chat box, and we're going to go ahead and wrap up today's session really quickly. It's also important that we seek out doses of inspiration. And so, you know, we must reach out to others who have achieved the success that we are going after, and we must listen to their stories and get inside their heads. And so that's why it's important that we utilize LinkedIn and we reach out to people who, on paper, their career looks like it has been going well. And we ask them, you know, what has been your journey? And you try to figure out maybe what you can learn from their journey, from their failures, from their successes, and understand how did they bounce back up, right? Because at some point they did actually fail, and how did they achieve their goals. Also, earlier in the week or last week, we talked about the importance of mentorship. In AAA HR Chicago, we have an actual mentoring program we soar together. We encourage all members of AAA HR Chicago to sign up for the next cohort of mentoring. If you are not a member of NAAA HR Chicago, but you think that you can benefit from having a mentor, then we encourage you to become a member of NAAA HR Chicago today. And also, if you would like to be a mentor, however, you're not a part of the organization, you can be a mentor. And so I encourage you to reach out to Marcoya Fair, our Vice President of Membership Engagement, and she is actually present today, and you can connect with her via LinkedIn and also attend her upcoming informational session. So I definitely encourage you to find a mentor. And then also you want to track your progress as you go along. So if you actually utilize your workbook, you will find that there's a worksheet in there that actually talks about how you can track your progress. And there are some tools in there that you can utilize, some worksheets to help you track your progress. And then, of course, you want to be able to do a personal SWOT analysis. And so that's an analysis of external and internal factors, personal weaknesses, and strengths. So previously, you addressed where you are and where you're going. And now you will focus on how you would get there. That's that SWOT analysis. Use your SWOT to stay grounded and realistic as you build a roadmap from where you are today to where you want to be. As you develop your strategy and set your goals, make strategic choices about what to do and not to do. Remember that being strategic is about making hard decisions. And again, there will be some pain along your journey. You have to also ask yourself your own personal why. And the first question to that is, why is this goal important to you? So for example, if you want to finish your college degree, setting smaller goals that revolve around why will help you get there faster. To define your why, consider asking yourself 3 simple questions. Why is finishing my degree important to me? Why does that reason matter? Why do I feel strongly about that reason? Before you apply the smarter strategy to develop smaller, more attainable goals, it's helpful to answer the following questions to determine if you're truly ready to make this commitment. Number 1, are you emotionally ready to commit to something that might be physically or emotionally uncomfortable? Number 2, ask yourself, are you ready to be honest with yourself and where you are at and where you want to go? And then number 3, do you have the time? Can you say no to the things that will interfere with your goal? Also, you want to set a positive tone about your goals. You want to feel very encouraged knowing that you can do it, and you want to focus on the process and not the outcome. Also, in order for things to stick in this society, we have contracts. So you probably want to make a contract with yourself for success. You want to talk about your vision, your goals, the strengths to aid in accomplishing the goals, current barriers, how to overcome the barriers, and how confident you are in achieving your goals. And then, of course, sign and date it and have it in a visible place where you can see it to constantly remind yourself of the commitment that you've made for yourself. So in the poll, just go ahead, Ursula, please launch our last poll. And I just really want to have a sense of how people are feeling at the present moment about goal setting as we wrap up today's session. All right, the results are coming in. How are you feeling in this present moment about goal setting? Are you feeling anxious? Are you feeling excited? Are you feeling empowered? Are you feeling encouraged? Are you feeling nervous, optimistic, or mixed emotions? Looks like 50% of our participants are feeling empowered, followed by 14% are feeling excited, encouraged, and optimistic, and 7% have mixed emotions. So I'm excited to hear that people feel excited, empowered, encouraged, optimistic, as well as having mixed emotions about their dreams and putting their goals into reality. And so I just want to conclude today and have some final thoughts. I will say that you must be brave and courageous in order to actually live out your wildest dreams. And in the words of Elizabeth Alexander, brave failure is preferable to timid success. Foster an environment where people can be brave and ideas don't need to be pristine. Major takeaways from today's session: translate strategic goals into actionable steps. Create a blueprint for change. Make sure their smarter goals are actually time bound. You want to align your finances to support implementation, and of course, you want to monitor your progress. Also, you want to revisit your strategy and repeat the process. Annual implementation timeline is critical into doing this. So thank you so much for allowing me to be one of your partners and helping you to implement your goals in 2021. I look forward to seeing you at part 3 of this series in mid-April. So stay tuned, whether it's through Eventbrite or through communications from NAAA HR Chicago about part 3 of this 4-part series. I look forward to, once again, partnering with you either in these sessions or outside of these sessions, because I know that together we can make your dreams come true and you can slay your goals. Since time is almost up, we do not have time for questions and answers, unfortunately, but feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. And at this time, we will have our president, Roderick Nelson, to close us out for today's program. Roderick, please take it away.
Thank you, Jasmine. Well, for one, I feel excited, I feel encouraged, and I feel empowered to set goals and to obtain those goals. So thank you, Jasmine Guy, for such impactful and informative session on goal setting too. There are a couple of things that I want to tell you guys. One, as you know, we have great programming. In AAA HR is the place to be. We're all about career development, as you see, networking, and building resources for you participants to get to the next level. If you're not a member, I encourage you to be a member, and soon. So we have a prospective membership meeting on tomorrow. Our VP of membership, which is on the call today, I believe, Marcoya Fair. She has done a great job connecting with individuals and encouraging them to be members. So she will walk you through our history, our officers, our great benefits, and have options for you to join. Now, COVID is real. COVID is still out here. So we encourage you guys to be safe, still be distant, and also make sure you have your mask, and also make sure you clean your hands to be safe so you can become a member, right? We want you to be healthy so you can become a member. A couple of things. We have 2 podcasts that are coming up in the month of March. So we encourage you to stay tuned. Make sure that you get to our website. Make sure you get to our LinkedIn profile page so we can renew you of events that are coming up. Most importantly, we had a great program today, so we want you to adhere to the survey. Now, the link should be in the chat box. We encourage you to do a survey. I may just have a gift for some of you. I may just say, hey, here's a $25 gift card to, I don't know where, but hey, if you do that, I'm going to search for someone. I'm going to randomly pick someone, and I'm going to send a $25 gift card. Okay, so I encourage you to do the survey. Last but not least, I want to kind of recap shortly over our national conference. We had a great conference in the month of February when we won 2 awards. One was the most engaged, and also, most engaged. We had plenty of programming activity for all of the United States through our Zooming. And also we won the largest chapter, the 3rd largest chapter nationally. So I am so proud of the great team that we have here on the executive leadership team, and also the Cheeros who are supporting us and making us a great chapter. So I think that's all that I have for you right now. I don't want to hold you long because it's already 1:35. So I don't want to hold you too long. But thank you so much for participating. And I look forward to seeing you guys again, either in our podcast or our upcoming events. Thank you and have a profitable and good and prosperity week. Thank you so much. And attack your goals. Bye-bye, everyone.